When my mother begged for money, my aunt told her to kneel. When a rival tried to win my wife with a single $30,000 handbag, I bought her the entire Chanel store. 3 years ago, they divorced me, labeling me a worthless drunk. Today, I orchestrate $100 million deals from a coffee shop and make local kingpins fall to their knees with a single command. My hostile in-laws, my arrogant rivals, even the woman I'm trying to win back, they all stare at my Rolls-Royce and ask the same question. How? They don't know my secret. I've returned with knowledge of the future, a blueprint to build an empire on the ashes of those who wronged me. But just as I'm about to reclaim my family, she walks back into my life, the beautiful, brilliant, and obsessive woman who chased me for a decade. This time, she whispers, you won't escape. I have the power to conquer kings, but can I win a war on two fronts? Chapter 91. The Audi Q7 moved through traffic, the atmosphere inside as heavy as lead. The white building of the First People's Hospital loomed closer, a silent mountain weighing on everyone's hearts. Outside the emergency room, the corridor lights were stark white, the air thick with the smell of disinfectant and suppressed sobs. Penny Jiang and her mother, Mrs. Xiao, clung to each other. Caleb Chun paced restlessly, his face a mask of helplessness and anger. He stopped when he saw Chloe and Liam, his expression complex, but for once, he held his tongue. Mrs. Xiao lifted her haggard face and forced a smile that was sadder than tears. Thank you for coming all this way. Chloe, my dad's still young. I don't want him to leave us so soon. Penny cried, collapsing into Chloe's arms, her tears soaking Chloe's shoulder. Chloe gently patted her back, unsure of how to offer comfort beyond the empty platitude of, it'll be okay. Liam pulled Caleb to the end of the hall, out of the women's sight. His voice was low but held an unquestionable strength. What did the doctors say? It's not good, Caleb said through gritted teeth, his voice hoarse. He most likely needs a heart transplant. They told us to. Start getting the money ready. How much? At least 5 million. If we go abroad, it could be over 10 million. The number was a mountain that nearly crushed Caleb. Liam's expression didn't flicker. He looked at the brother-in-law who had always been so hostile towards him and said firmly, go wherever you need to go. Get whatever treatment is necessary. I'll pay for it. Caleb's head snapped up, his eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Medical bills in the tens of millions, and you'll pay? As long as you're truly serious about Penny, I'll pay, Liam said, looking him straight in the eye. This is not the time to be fighting with me. A life is at stake. You're a man, so you need to step up. Don't worry about the money. In that moment, the high wall of resentment and prejudice in Caleb's heart cracked. After a long silence, he walked back to Penny and whispered, Liam said he's willing to cover the medical costs. Everyone's eyes immediately focused on Liam. He gave a calm nod. The money doesn't matter. What matters is saving him. But the doctor said it would be millions. Mrs. Xiao's voice trembled as fresh tears welled up. Liam gave Chloe a meaningful look. She understood at once, taking Mrs. Xiao's hand, her voice gentle but firm. Andy, don't worry. My husband has money. The big hospitals in the capital have better success rates. I've already asked his friend to help make arrangements. The words, my husband, landed clearly in Liam's ears. His heart skipped a beat, a wave of warmth washing over him. He knew that this feeling was more fulfilling, more joyous than earning $6 billion, more satisfying than buying a $2.4 billion piece of land. Half an hour later, the light above the emergency room went out. The patient's condition had stabilized, but the need for a transplant was urgent. After arranging everything, Liam and Chloe left the hospital. In the setting sun, Caleb called out behind them, his voice barely audible, thank you. That evening, at the Oceanus Hotel, Nico Hong, Hugo Han, and Zane with his girlfriend Jean Jiang were already waiting. When Liam and Chloe entered, Nico greeted them with an exaggerated flourish. My goodness, this must be our sister-in-law. No wonder brother Liam doesn't even glance at other women. She's a goddess descended to earth. His playful banter instantly eased Chloe's nervousness. The atmosphere at dinner was warm and sincere. Zane attentively peeled crabs for Jean, while Liam naturally placed the best dishes on Chloe's plate. Chloe watched it all. These men of incredible means, all showing genuine respect for Liam, talking about deals worth hundreds of millions, and she finally, truly realized that he was no longer the man he used to be. On the drive home, soft music played in the car. Liam took Chloe's hand. She gave a token struggle before letting him hold it. You know, Chloe's voice was soft, tinged with emotion. I used to dream about a life like this. You'd introduce me to your friends, and I'd introduce you to mine. Nothing fancy, just being able to sit together, talk, and share a meal. That would have made me happy. Liam's heart softened, and he squeezed her hand a little tighter. By the next morning, they were at a fishing pier. The sea breeze carried a salty tang as hundreds of fishing boats returned to port. Liam and his group stood in the crowd, waiting to make their first official contact with the local fishermen. But what they got was a man named Marco Liu, flanked by a group of menacing-looking thugs. These crabs aren't for sale, Marco said without even looking up, his tone belligerent. Well, maybe they are, He glanced at Liam with contempt. 500 a pound. Can you afford it? Liam's face hardened. He didn't waste any more words, simply pulling out the contract for the 500 square mile stretch of sea he now leased. He handed it to the boat's captain, a man named Wong. Captain Wong, you can ask around town. I'm in charge of this sea now. From today on, all seafood is to be sold to me. Marco Lu stared for a moment, then burst into harsh laughter. Lease the sea? I don't know who you are, Liam replied coldly. But I know a Marco Lu when I see one. You bastard, who are you cursing at? A young man with bleached blonde hair lunged forward with a shovel. Zane and Nico immediately stepped in front of Liam. Marco blew a smoke ring, his eyes turning vicious. So you're looking for trouble, huh? Believe it or not, I could kick you into the ocean and let you drink salt water until you burst. Chapter 92. The air at the pier grew thick and heavy with Marco Lu's threats. The sea breeze couldn't disperse the smell of gunpowder in the tense standoff. The surrounding fishermen and dealers watched like spectators at a gladiator match, their eyes glinting with schadenfreude. Get the hell out of here. Marco's voice was crude and arrogant. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't bother with a few little punks like you. And if I don't leave? Liam's voice was soft, but it was like a needle that expertly punctured his opponent's bravado. Beside him, Zane and Nico tensed their bodies instinctively. If you won't leave, then I'll kill you. The blonde youth with an out-of-town accent brandished his shovel, spittle flying from his mouth. Captain Wong, seeing things were about to get ugly, quickly tried to mediate, telling Liam that there was a certain order to things. But Liam just smiled, his gaze sweeping past him to the fishermen gathered around. Today's catch is still yours, he said calmly to Marco. Then he turned and, with his three friends, began walking away from the pier. Behind them, Marco's derisive laughter and curses echoed. He shouted that tomorrow, he'd show Liam who was boss, and that anyone who didn't show up was a coward. Liam didn't turn back, leaving only his silhouette and a clear reply. Fine, we'll see about that. At noon the next day, the atmosphere at the same pier was even more oppressive. Marco had kept his word. He had gathered 20 or 30 thugs, all leaning against the railings, smoking and glaring menacingly at the entrance. Captain Wong's boat had already docked, and he watched the scene with a nervous twitch in his eye. The minutes ticked by. More boats returned, but there was still no sign of Liam. Boss, you think those cowards got scared off? The blonde youth asked impatiently. If they're not complete idiots, they know who I am, Marco said, exhaling a confident puff of smoke. Just as he spoke, several large tour buses pulled up to the pier entrance. The doors opened, and a flood of people poured out. They were all dressed in identical black security uniforms, moving in silent, orderly ranks, forming an iron tide that flowed towards the pier. The once noisy area fell silent. Tourists, fishermen, and dealers all instinctively cleared a path. Liam and his three friends walked at the very front of this tide. They strolled casually, as if the 100 imposing security guards behind them were just their regular entourage. They walked straight to Captain Wong's boat. Liam wore a warm smile. Captain Wong, we meet again. He then turned to the pale and rigid Marco Lu. Put it down. 2 words, spoken lightly, but they seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 pounds. Marco's hand, holding a basket of crabs, trembled uncontrollably. With a crash, the basket fell, and crabs scattered across the ground. Yesterday, you were talking so big, Liam's smile turned icy. Now, say it again for me. Zane, meanwhile, fixed his gaze on the blonde youth and beckoned with his finger. You? Come here. The young man's legs turned to jelly. He stood frozen to the spot. Liam couldn't be bothered wasting any more time. He picked up the shovel the youth had brandished the day before and walked towards him step by step. There was no anger in his deep eyes, only a cold indifference. My memory isn't so good. What was it you said yesterday? Remind me. The blonde youth was terrified, stumbling backward. Liam suddenly lifted the shovel and slammed it down on the empty ground in front of him. With a loud clang, sparks flew, and a shallow crater appeared in the concrete. The youth's legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. Get out, Liam said, tossing the shovel aside. He wiped his hands with a handkerchief as if he had touched something filthy. Marco and his so-called brothers, as if granted a pardon, scrambled away and disappeared from sight. The old order, in the face of absolute power, was pathetically fragile. Liam immediately announced the formation of Phoenix Marine Limited. All seafood would be purchased at $1 above market price per pound, and payments would be made weekly. The news was a bombshell that set off a joyous explosion among the fishermen. That evening, on the 33rd floor of Confluence Tower, their newly rented office was still bare. Clara was buried in a pile of data, working furiously. Nico Hong stood nearby like a bodyguard, his eyes barely leaving her. Done. Clara let out a long breath and handed a printed report to Liam. Brother, yesterday's seafood accounts are finished. Liam took the report. After just one glance, his breathing quickened. Zane and Hugo crowded around. When they saw the final number, they were all stunned. The total cost for yesterday's seafood was $240 million. After deducting all expenses, our net profit for yesterday was. Clara paused, looked up, her eyes shining with excitement. 48 million. Happy times always seem to fly by. Just like that, September was drawing to a close. On the vast land near Jade Hill Village, more than 2,000 sea cucumber sheds had risen from the earth, arranged like a disciplined army, waiting for the steady stream of seedlings from Daxing City. Phoenix Marine Limited, the newly launched behemoth, was already taking shape. With the addition of over 20 employees, the office on the 33rd floor of Confluence Tower was filled with the lively sounds of keyboards clicking and phones ringing. Clara, once the little sister who needed her brother's protection, was now the company's general manager and CFO. With her hair in a neat ponytail and dressed in a smart business suit, she stood before the whiteboard in the conference room, speaking fluently and exuding the air of a powerful businesswoman. At present, the Azure Bay market alone can no longer absorb our peers' entire seafood output. I suggest the project department immediately begin expanding into surrounding markets like Licheng and Shijiao County, while also collaborating with major live streaming hubs to open up online sales channels. However, just as everyone was basking in the glow of their immense daily profits, Clara's tone shifted, and her expression became a little awkward. Gentlemen, there's one other issue. Our company's bank account is running low. She presented a report. We've already spent over $1.7 billion on dried sea cucumbers and seedlings, plus the costs of leasing land and building the sheds. Not counting our profits, the company's liquid assets are less than $8 million, and we still owe Zane and his third uncle a total of over $540 million. The office fell silent as everyone exchanged glances. They were making money fast, but they were spending it even faster, like a flash flood. Liam looked at the group and spoke calmly. Use all the profits from this period to cover it first. For the remaining shortfall, each partner will contribute according to their share percentage. With that one sentence, he put everyone at ease. That afternoon, Zane called, ecstatic. Brother Liam, the car is here. The $12 million Rolls-Royce Phantom had finally arrived in Azure Bay. The two of them made a show of the handover ceremony, then drove the mobile palace through the city, turning heads everywhere. When you've accumulated a certain level of wealth, a little showing off is no longer about vanity. It's a declaration. At 4:30, the brand new Phantom glided silently into the Trident International parking lot. Liam didn't go upstairs. He reclined the seat, turned on the top-of-the-line sound system, and waited quietly, surrounded by music. At 5 o'clock sharp, Chloe and her best friend, Sarah Shun, walked out of the company, laughing and talking. Wow, Chloe, look. The spirit of ecstasy. That car must be worth over $10 million, Sarah exclaimed, pointing at the Phantom. Other colleagues also cast envious glances. Chloe just smiled and walked straight towards the car. When the window rolled down to reveal Liam's smiling face, Sarah's jaw dropped. Care for a ride, ladies? Liam got out and made an elegant, gentlemanly gesture. Chloe gave him a flirtatious eye roll and got into the passenger seat. Sarah, like a happy little squirrel, dove into the back, her hands running over the soft suede and cool metal trim. She looked up at the twinkling starlight headliner, a ceiling made of countless fiber optic lights, and let out a series of gasps. I'm so jealous of you, Chloe, Sarah chattered from the back. Actually, I wanted to buy one for your friend Chloe here. Liam sighed with mock helplessness, but she wouldn't let me. What can I do? Chloe, are you crazy? Sarah immediately switched sides. You turn down a car like this? What do you want, a private jet? I'd be thrilled if my boyfriend bought me a $20,000 car. What do you know, you little brat? Chloe's words were firm, but her cheeks were flushed. I am a proud, single woman, you know. Brother-in-law. Sarah immediately changed her form of address, urging Liam on. If you really want to buy Chloe a car, let's go look right now. I have a friend who works at a dealership. Let's get it done, then I can hitch rides in the future. Liam chuckled to himself. Sarah was a divine wingman. He glanced at Chloe beside him. She was silent, but her eyes no longer held the firm refusal of the past. So he didn't hesitate. He started the engine. All right then, let's go to the dealership and have a look. The Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled smoothly out of the parking lot and merged into the evening rush hour traffic. This car was a reward for his own past, but the next one would be the key to the brand new future he was opening for Chloe. As the electric car quietly charged in the driveway, so too did the rekindling affection between Liam and Chloe. After dinner, Liam was once again kicked out of the apartment complex. Back in his own place, instead of resting, he opened his laptop. On the screen, a new document was titled with 4 words, Chronicles of the Cat God. This was the next financial bombshell from his foreknowledge of the future. A domestic fantasy film that would become a global phenomenon, leveraging a low budget of $60 million into a staggering $9 billion box office myth, making it the highest-grossing film in the nation's history. But right now, the film's director and cast were struggling in obscurity. Liam's goal was to seize this uncut gem before anyone else discovered it. He was about to enter the entertainment industry. Without hesitation, he booked a flight to Luoyang for the next day. Destiny, after all, often begins with a well-planned chance encounter. Late the next morning, in a coffee shop in downtown Luoyang, Liam immediately spotted his target, Julian Jean. He was a disheveled, overweight, bearded man in his 40s, currently arguing with a server over free refills. You advertise free refills. My coffee was $66. Is there a problem with me getting a refill? Why won't you let me? Sir, you've already had 12 refills, the server replied, exasperated. Liam smiled and walked over. He told the server, bring this gentleman one of every coffee you have in the shop. It's on me. Julian Jean eyed the newcomer warily, his gaze full of suspicion. Do I know you? The famous director Jean? Of course I know you, Liam said, taking a seat across from him and introducing himself calmly. My name is Liam Lin, chairman of Phoenix Pharmaceuticals. The words Phoenix Pharmaceuticals were like a key, instantly unlocking the guarded door to Julian's heart. What he needed most right now was money. Still, he gave a self-deprecating laugh. Since you know I'm a director, you must be here about a film. Heh, I don't have a single released movie to my name. I'm not even a Z-lister. You guessed right. I'm here to ask you to make a movie. Liam's words left Julian stunned. Out of a creator's last shred of integrity, he confessed, my film is quite niche. It's not a commercial project. I've pitched it to investors before, and they all rejected the script. I have to tell you, even if it gets released, it might not even make back its budget. If I say it will make money, it will definitely make money. Liam's tone was calm, but carried an unshakable confidence. Then, how much do you need? Julian looked at Liam, took a deep breath, and cautiously held up 6 fingers. Around 60 million. He watched Liam's reaction nervously, terrified the number would scare away his only hope. He was already prepared to lower the price to 50 million. However, Liam just tapped the table and said casually, I'll give you 100 million. You won't have to change the plot or the actors because of budget constraints. Just optimize everything that needs to be optimized. What? Julian shot up from his seat, unable to believe his ears. 100 million? Are you kidding me? Do I look like I'm kidding? Liam asked. The massive surprise left Julian dizzy. He rubbed his hands together excitedly, at a loss for words. A budget of 100 million was enough to bring every single image in his mind to life in the most perfect way. He looked at Liam and said sincerely, I don't understand. Why are you so confident in my film? You haven't even read the script. Because I believe you are a talented man, Liam smiled faintly. And I am the one who recognizes that talent. Just as they were about to discuss contract details, Julian's phone rang. On the other end was an investment company that had once belittled him mercilessly. Director Jean, if you can keep the budget under 30 million, we might consider investing. Julian glanced at Liam sitting across from him. He instantly stood up straighter, a proud smile he hadn't worn in years gracing his lips. I'm sorry, he said into the phone, his words crisp and clear. Someone just invested 100 million in me. Chapter 95. I believe you are the one who recognizes my talent. Julian Jin's voice trembled with a kind of reverence. Liam smiled, but didn't dwell on the topic. He simply picked up his phone. Let's go. We'll head to the bank now and get the funds sorted out. When the text message notification from the bank chimed, and when Julian saw the long string of zeros in his own account with his own eyes, the scruffy, bearded middle-aged man finally broke down. He took off his glasses, his reddened eyes welling up with tears. He had endured so many years, so much scorn and humiliation, for this dream. A real man doesn't cry easily. Liam patted his shoulder. You can use your work to prove that I made the right decision. Mr. Lin. Julian took a deep breath, composing himself. There's one more thing I'd like to ask of you. Liam gestured for him to continue. You know that singer, Yun Jujuan, right? Liam asked casually. Julian was taken aback. Then his eyes lit up with an even greater brilliance than before. Jujuan? Mr. Lin, how do you know about him? In the process of learning about you, I also came across his work. His style is unique and unconventional, Liam said, spinning a believable tale. I admire him, just as I admire you. I think he's just a talent waiting for his moment. Once the opportunity arises, he will soar like a dragon. These words made Julian's blood boil with excitement. He and Yun Jujuan were the closest of friends, fellow dreamers sharing the same struggles. One wanted his film on the big screen, the other wanted his music to take over the world, yet both were crushed by reality. Mr. Lin, are you planning to work with Jujuan too? I'll call him right now. He's probably still sleeping in his hotel room. Half an hour later, a young man with messy hair, who hadn't even washed his face but still couldn't hide his handsome features, rushed into the coffee shop. This was Yun Jujuan. Hello, Mr. Lin. He bowed nervously, clutching a stack of A4 papers covered in lyrics. No need for the guitar, Liam waved his hand, once again adopting his serious demeanor. I've heard your work. It's very good. Really? Do you think my lyrics resonate with people? Are there any parts of the melodies that need improvement? As soon as the conversation turned to music, Yun Jujuan became effusive, his introverted nature replaced by an artist's passion. Liam, overwhelmed by the questions, could only end the topic with a catch-all phrase. Your fans will give you the answers to those questions in the future. All I can do is sign you and bring you into the public eye. Yun Jujuan's breathing quickened. After so many years in the dark, was he finally about to see the light? I'm prepared to offer $5 million to purchase the rights to all your current songs. At the same time, we'll sign a 3-year contract. During this period, all earnings will be split 70% for the company, 30% for you. If you agree, we can sign right now. Liam had made an offer so generous it was both irresistible and unimaginable to him. I agree. Ewan Juju and trembled, not from nerves, but from extreme excitement. $5 million was not just an astronomical sum to him. It was the ultimate validation of his years of persistence. Having secured his 2 future stars, Liam quickly took his leave and returned to Azure Bay. He had just gotten out of the airport and into his Phantom, not even having a moment of peace, when his father, Aaron Lynn, called. His voice was full of a weary reluctance. Your second uncle and second aunt are here. The smile on Liam's face froze, his eyes turning to ice. Dad, since when did I have a second uncle and aunt? A sigh came from the other end of the line. That's all in the past. Don't hold on to it forever. Just come back first. Inside the luxurious mansion at Radiant Divine City, a ridiculous drama was unfolding. A middle-aged woman, his second aunt Tanya Chio, was pacing the living room, her face a mask of jealousy, spouting sour pleasantries. Meanwhile, Liam's brother, Ethan, was arguing fiercely with them like an enraged young lion. Brother and sister-in-law, is this how you raise your children? He's practically walking all over his own uncle. Tanya shrieked. Calm down. Hell no. Ethan roared. I know how to be calm when I'm talking to people. Why should I be calm when I'm talking to animals? Aaron Lynn slammed his hand on the table and bellowed, enough. At that tense moment, the door opened. Liam and Chloe stood in the entryway. The arguing inside ceased abruptly. Liam's expression was calm, so calm it was unsettling. Tanya's face immediately broke into a fawning smile as she hurried over. Liam, you must be tired after a long day at work. Come in, come in. Your aunt has heard you've made it big, struck it rich. I'm so happy for you, truly. Liam gave her a cursory glance and said, This is my house. Tanya's smile froze on her face. Liam walked straight to the sofa, sat down, poured himself a glass of water, and then lifted his eyes. His deep gaze was devoid of any warmth. Why are you here? We just thought we'd come and see my big brother and sister-in-law. Is that so? Liam interrupted her. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly to everyone in the room. Well, you've seen them. The 2 of you can leave now. Chapter 96. Liam's words, the 2 of you can leave now, were like a bucket of ice water dumped over the heads of Ivan Lynn and Tanya Chio. Tanya's smile froze for a second, then reappeared as if nothing had happened. She pulled 2 bags of chips and a chocolate bar from a plastic bag, trying to win over Sophie, who had just run into Liam's arms. Sophie, we're your great-uncle and great-aunt. Look, we brought you snacks. Daddy says you're bad guys, so you're bad guys. Sophie's clear voice was like a sharp slap. Liam glanced at the bag, a smirk playing on his lips. I'm curious, do all those things together even cost $100? It's the thought that counts, Tanya said, her skin impressively thick. Your uncle and I don't earn much, and our son Donnie is getting married soon. This is just a small gesture. Liam almost laughed out loud. He decided to cut to the chase. All right, what do you really want? Well, Tanya wrung her hands, finally revealing her true purpose. Donnie's getting married, and the bride's family is asking for a $300,000 gift. Your uncle and I don't have that kind of money, so we were thinking of borrowing some from you. How much? $1 million. The air in the room turned to ice. Liam smiled and looked at his father. Dad, do you think I should lend them the money? Aaron Lynn kept his head down, mumbling. It's your money. You decide. I see. Liam nodded, his gaze shifting back to Tanya, looking at her as if she were a pathetic clown. Auntie, is it? $1 million isn't that much. If you're willing to kneel down and kowtow to me a few times, I might consider lending it to you. Liam, have you gone too far? Ivan finally erupted. No matter what, we are your elders. You're asking an elder to kneel to you. What? Does it make you uncomfortable? Liam's voice suddenly rose, years of suppressed rage bursting forth. When my mother went to borrow money from you, isn't that exactly what your wife said to her? I'd like to ask, does Tanya Chio deserve to have her sister-in-law kneel to her? He shot to his feet, stalking towards them, each word a hammer blow to their conscience. When my grandfather died, you wouldn't even pay for a tombstone. And when my father called you out on it, you came at him with an axe, ready to kill him. And her, Tanya Chio, on New Year's Eve, she came to our house wailing and screaming, threatening to die in our home if we didn't give her my grandfather's old house. Yes, my parents are simple, honest people. They're not powerful, and they raised a troublemaker son like me. So does that mean they deserve to be bullied by you? Does that give you the right to look down on them? Do we owe you something? The barrage of questions left Ivan and Tanya red-faced and speechless. Aaron Lynn, is this the fine son you raised? Tanya, furious and humiliated, turned on Liam's father. You little bastard, I wasn't asking you for money. What are you shouting for? Finally, Tanya's venomous true nature emerged as she snapped at Ethan, who had been supporting his brother. A sharp crack echoed through the room. Aaron Lin, who had been silent, shot to his feet and slapped Tanya hard across the face. I, Aaron Lin, have been a coward in the past. I let my wife and children suffer too much. The man who had been meek his entire life said, his eyes bloodshot, his body trembling with rage. But now my son is successful. Why should we have to listen to you order us around? Who are you calling a little bastard? Seeing his wife hit, Ivan's face darkened and he lunged forward. But Liam and Ethan instantly moved to block him, standing like two mountains in front of their father. Liam's eyes were terrifyingly dark, his voice low and clear, each word dripping with ice. If you dare touch my father today, I will make sure both of you die in this house. You may not see Aaron Lin as your brother, but you will remember that he, Aaron Lin, is my father. Before the King of Heaven himself could make him suffer, he would have to ask me, Liam Lin, if I agree. In the courtyard of the Zhou estate, the warm autumn sun filtered through the leaves of the osmanthus tree, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The fragrance of tea filled the air. Liam poured a fresh cup for Walter Zhou, his movements practiced and respectful. The former provincial governor looked at the young man before him with eyes full of admiration. You said before that there would be trouble with the sea cucumbers in Daxing City. Was that also from one of your calculations? Walter asked, taking a casual sip of tea. Yes, Liam's reply was concise and mysterious. And your investments in entertainment, real estate, and even spending $2.4 billion on that land for a pharmaceutical company. Were those all from your calculations? Yes. Walter fell silent. He looked at Liam's young, confident face and then said with great seriousness, our country lags far behind others in the pharmaceutical industry. Countless people are driven into poverty by illness. What kind of drugs do you plan to develop? For now, I'm focusing on a cold medicine. If that's successful, I'll move towards treatments for leukemia, diabetes, and even cancer. Liam's gaze was clear and determined. And I promise, for any drug I develop, I will negotiate the price with the National Regulatory Agency. I will never use a patent to exploit patients. Those words were a key that unlocked a soft spot in Walter Zhou's heart. A flicker of emotion crossed the old leader's eyes. Good. A promise to negotiate the price. I can also promise you this. If you keep your word, when your first breakthrough drug is released, I will have my son give you any piece of land you want to build your corporate headquarters. Despite receiving this monumental promise, Liam's expression didn't brighten. Instead, it became incredibly grave. Sir, there's actually another, more important reason I came today. He paused, then said, word by word, the chemical plant in the western suburbs. It should be inspected. Walter's pupils contracted. He sat bolt upright, staring intently at Liam. What do you mean? I've had a bad feeling for the past few days, and it seems to be centered on that plant. Perhaps it's nothing, but an inspection would be for the best. Liam's words were calm, but they made Walter's heart leap into his throat. He knew all too well how frighteningly accurate Liam's calculations could be. Without a moment's hesitation, Walter picked up the phone and dialed his son's number, his voice sharp with urgency. Immediately, conduct a comprehensive, top-to-bottom safety inspection of the western suburbs chemical plant. Right now. After leaving the Zhou estate, Liam declined Zane's offer to accompany him and drove alone to Trident International. He planned to finalize the industrial park details with Hugo Han and then pick up Chloe from work. These days, he could walk into the high-end office building without issue, greeted by the receptionist's sweet chorus of, "Good afternoon, Mr. Lin," which felt worlds away from his past life. However, when he pushed open the familiar door to Hugo's office, he froze. Sitting in Hugo's chair was a stranger, a woman in a sharp business suit, with an exceptional air about her, who was strikingly beautiful. When the woman looked up and saw Liam, a playful smile touched her lips. Her eyes held both the surprise of a reunion and the glint of a predator spotting its prey. Well, hello there, old classmate. The greeting made the hairs on Liam's neck stand up. The woman was his college classmate, Jina Zhao. A woman who, starting from their freshman year, had pursued him relentlessly for years. A woman who had only left town in defeat after he and Chloe got married. His first instinct was to turn and leave. Liam Lin, you stop right there. Jina's voice held a hint of playful annoyance. I'm not going to eat you. What are you so afraid of? What are you doing here? Liam forced himself to ask. Well, since you poached Mr. Han, someone had to take charge. So, here I am. Jina's smile was sly. What? Am I not qualified to take his position? Just as Liam was struggling with the awkwardness, the office door opened and Hugo Han walked in with his briefcase. Seeing Liam's look of utter relief, he was completely confused. My savior? What savior? Jina looked between the two of them and suddenly laughed. She said to Hugo, know him? I did more than know him. I chased him for the better part of a decade, only to leave empty-handed in the end. It was only then that Hugo understood. He remembered something and looked at Jina in shock. Ms. Zhao, you gave up an $8 million annual salary with the company, turned down a promotion to vice president, and specifically requested a transfer to Azure Bay. All for Liam. Jina didn't answer directly. Her gaze, hot and focused, never left Liam's face. You guess. The office door closed behind Liam's hasty retreat. Jenna stood before the massive floor-to-ceiling window, watching the traffic below, a slight smile on her lips. Liam Lin, let's just see how you're going to escape my grasp this time. Downstairs from Trident International, Liam took a long drag from his cigarette, but not even the nicotine could calm the turmoil inside him. Seeing his friend's look of sheer panic, Hugo Han couldn't help but tease him. Is Ms. Zhao really that scary? I thought you always said she was the perfect woman. It's because she's too perfect that I have to draw a clear line, Liam said, stubbing out the cigarette with grim determination. She's 30 years old this year. I don't want to be the reason she wastes her best years. My heart belongs only to Chloe and Sophie. During these next 3 days of your handover, I need you to tell her, over and over, just how much I love Chloe. Make her give up on this, and soon. Hugo returned to the office to face the cold, all-business, Iron Lady Jenna Zhao. However, the moment he mentioned Liam, her icy exterior melted, replaced by the bittersweet memories of the past. A lot of people think love at first sight is nonsense, but I was hopelessly hooked, and I could never pull myself out. Jenna's voice was soft, but held an unshakable resolve. It's been 4 years. To the outside world, I've been incredibly successful, but to me, I've just been sleepwalking through life. Now he's divorced. My chance, Jenna Zhao's chance, has finally come. She looked at Hugo, a near-obsessive glint in her eyes. I refuse to miss this opportunity again. If you still don't understand, then let me put it this way. For him, I am willing to give up everything. That evening, Liam was driving Chloe home in the Phantom. A call came in from Leo Lee, his voice thick with suppressed excitement. Brother, it's happening. The prices are soaring. There's a problem with the sea cucumbers in Daxing City, and the price of our seedlings has already jumped by $40 a pound. Dried sea cucumbers have broken $3,000 a pound. Chloe listened quietly from the side, silently tapping numbers into her phone's calculator. When a stunning figure appeared on the screen, she gasped. 2.4 million pounds of seedlings, doubled, would be 4.8 million. A $40 increase per pound meant nearly 200 million. They had made 200 million in just over a week. That's nothing. Your husband made over 6 billion in half a month before, Liam said, puffing out his chest with pride. Chloe rolled her eyes, but she couldn't suppress the sweet feeling in her heart. However, that sweetness vanished with Liam's next words. Jenna Zhao is in Azure Bay now, he said, as if it were a casual remark. Chloe's body went rigid. Jenna Zhao. That name was the only thorn in her heart. That woman's love for Liam was too wild, too bold, too persistent. She's definitely still after you. She must have heard we were divorced and jumped at the chance to chase you again. Chloe's voice turned sharp, filled with jealousy and insecurity. Fine. We're divorced anyway. You can date whoever you want, Liam Lin. I have no right to say anything. Just drop me off at the next intersection. Let Jenna Zhao sit here from now on. A screech of tires tore through the air as the Rolls-Royce Phantom slammed to a halt at the side of the road. Chloe stared at Liam in disbelief, tears instantly welling in her eyes. You're really going to make me get out? Liam didn't speak. He got out of the car, walked around to the passenger side, and opened her door. Chloe's heart sank to the pit of her stomach. Liam pulled her out of the car. Her vision swam, the feeling of betrayal and pain nearly suffocating her. When she wiped her tears and looked up, she found herself standing in a brightly lit store, surrounded by handbags with the double C logo she had only ever seen in magazines. Chanel. Chanel. Wrap them all up, Liam said to the stunned sales associate, with a wave of his hand. Dozens of exquisite boxes were loaded into the Phantom's trunk. The bill came to a staggering figure, 2.47 million. Are you insane? Chloe's voice trembled. You spent over 2 million just to buy me bags? I don't want them. She turned to rush back into the store, but Liam caught her, pulling her into a tight embrace. His chin rested on the top of her head, his voice gentle and firm, each word like a brand, searing itself into her heart. Chloe, do you have any idea how much I love you? Everything I'm doing now is to give you the best life possible. No one can ever shake your place in my heart. This bastard named Liam Lin will forever, and always, belong only to you. Chapter 99. The Rolls-Royce Phantom glided smoothly down the road, the air inside filled with the luxurious scent of leather and Chanel. Chloe still felt like she was in a dream. She pinched the back of her hand, and the sharp pain was the only thing that convinced her it was all real. She looked at Liam's anxious, worried face, and a tide of happiness threatened to overwhelm her. Chanel bags. They cost tens of thousands each, and you just bought dozens of them. You really don't mind? She asked, stroking an exquisite handbag, her joy impossible to contain. In our future house, we'll have a walk-in closet just for your clothes, your bags, your watches. Liam's voice was gentle and resolute. You've had it rough for too long. It's time for you to enjoy life. In the midst of this tender moment, an unknown number called. It was Zane's third uncle, Marcus Zhou Sr. His voice was filled with the relief of someone who had narrowly escaped disaster, and with heartfelt gratitude. Mr. Lin, I'm calling to thank you. If it weren't for your warning, I would have been ruined. You're a miracle worker. Hanging up, the Phantom had already pulled into Chloe's parents' complex. A brand new BMW 6 Series GT was parked conspicuously downstairs. As they reached the landing, they heard an unfamiliar man's voice from inside the apartment, along with Lydia Liu's slightly awkward replies. Chloe's brow furrowed instantly. His name is Felix Fong. My second aunt set us up on a blind date. Liam's heart sank, but when he saw Chloe proactively take his hand and ask, with her clear eyes, "Do you trust me?" all his doubts vanished. They exchanged a smile and, in silent agreement, stopped outside the door to continue eavesdropping. "Felix," it was her father, Aaron Chen's voice. "You can't force matters of the heart. Liam is the man Chloe chose for herself. Regardless of what happened in the past, she's willing to hold on to that relationship. As her parents, we won't forcibly break up her family." Felix seemed unwilling to give up. "But as far as I know, Chloe is divorced now. Let me put it this way." Aaron Chen's voice became firm. "I know my daughter best. Even if she's divorced, she will still care about Liam. You don't have a chance. No man has a chance. As long as Chloe doesn't give up, we two will always be her strongest support." Hearing this, the last weight in Liam's heart lifted. He took Chloe's hand, a triumphant smile on his face, and pushed the door open. "Dad, I missed you so much," Liam said, putting down his things and giving a stunned Aaron Chen a huge hug. He then turned to Felix with a look of dawning realization. "Ah, it's Brother Felix. A pleasure, Brother Felix. I'm Liam Lin, and this is my humble wife, Chloe." The masterclass in awkwardness almost made Aaron Chen choke. Chloe couldn't help but stifle a laugh. Only Felix was left standing there, his face shifting between shades of green and white. Seeing that Felix was about to leave, Liam enthusiastically grabbed his arm. "Brother Felix, don't rush off. It's dinner time. Let's eat first. As they say, 1,000 drinks are not enough when old friends meet. If you leave now, you'll be disrespecting me." Completely bewildered by Liam's 1-2 punch, Felix had no choice but to stay. At the dinner table, a conversation full of hidden barbs began. Felix tried to mock Liam by bringing up his past alcoholism, but Liam played dumb, his simple-minded smile deflecting every jab. After a few drinks, Felix finally played his trump card. From a beautifully wrapped box, he took out a brand-new handbag. Ignoring Liam completely, he presented it to Chloe. "I came in a hurry, so I didn't bring much of a gift. I happened to pass by the Chanel flagship store and bought a bag for you, Chloe. I hope you like it." Chapter 100. The Chanel handbag, offered by Felix, was like a stone dropped into a calm lake, sending ripples through the small living room. Aaron and Lydia Chen's faces were etched with worry, afraid that Liam, the powder keg, would explode on the spot. However, Liam's reaction stunned everyone. He shot to his feet, his face a mask of exaggerated surprise. "My goodness, is that Chanel? It must be very expensive. Brother Felix, you're too kind." This fawning display made Aaron Chen frown. Was this kid an idiot? The man was giving his ex-wife a purse right in front of him, and he was helping him count the money? It wasn't expensive. "Only 32,000, Felix said nonchalantly, his eyes never leaving Chloe. In his mind, this gift was enough to create a stark contrast in Chloe's heart between himself and this smooth-talking Liam. Wow, buying a $32,000 bag just like that. Brother Felix is so generous. Liam continued his performance. "I assume that $80,000 BMW downstairs is yours too? You must be a man of great talent. Where do you work?" The flattery made Felix look down on Liam even more. He sneered internally. So, he was just a pathetic coward who only cared about money. He puffed out his chest and played his ace. "I'm the general manager of the project department at Stellar Shipyards, a subsidiary of the Stellar Group." "Stellar Shipyards?" Liam and Chloe exclaimed almost in unison. The smile on Felix's face widened. He had no idea, of course, that the couple's shock wasn't due to awe for the corporate giant, but because that very name was already on Liam's hunting list. After a moment of stunned silence, Aaron and Lydia Chen both looked at Liam. He still had that same simple smile, but a storm was raging in their hearts. They understood instantly. Liam's leasing of land, building of sheds, and contracting of the sea. All of it was aimed directly at Stellar Shipyards. "Chloe, this is just a small token of my affection. Please accept it," Felix said, once again offering the bag to Chloe. Chloe glanced at Liam and asked with a sweet smile, "Do you think I should accept it?" "Of course you should. It's a kind gesture from Brother Felix. He'll be upset if you don't." Liam immediately encouraged her. "Well, thank you then, Mr. Fong," Chloe said, accepting the bag with a smile. Felix breathed a sigh of relief, though he felt something was off. Just then, Chloe spoke again. "Liam, didn't you buy me some bags earlier? Why don't you go get them? I can compare and see which one I like best." "You got it," Liam replied and headed downstairs. A moment later, to Felix's dumbfounded disbelief, he returned, huffing and puffing, carrying over 20 bags with the same double C logo. "Brother Felix, don't just stand there, have a seat," Liam said, putting the bags down and wiping his brow, still wearing that earnest smile. "It's funny, Chloe and I also passed by Chanel on our way here. I didn't know which one she'd like, so I just went in and bought everything in the store." The corner of Felix's eye twitched uncontrollably. He felt his face burning. I told you to bring them all up. This is only half of them. Chloe was still complaining. So, Liam went downstairs again and, to Felix's horror, returned with another 20-plus bags. More than 40 Chanel bags were now piled in the living room like a small mountain. In front of Felix, Chloe joyfully unwrapped them, sweetly asking Liam which one looked best. The couple's perfectly coordinated performance was an invisible blade that shredded Felix's pride to pieces. Uncle, Auntie, I just remembered I have something to do. I really can't stay for dinner. Felix couldn't take it anymore. He stood up, desperate to escape the suffocating room. Brother Felix, don't go. Dinner's almost ready. Liam called after him enthusiastically. But Felix was already out the door, running as if being chased by a ghost, at the speed of a national athlete. As he stumbled downstairs, he saw it. Parked quietly next to his BMW was a brand-new Rolls-Royce Phantom. He felt as if his heart had been stabbed again. The car sat there like a silent victor, soundlessly mocking his every effort. Just a tacky nouveau riche. Felix spat through gritted teeth as he scrambled into his car. Chloe doesn't want these bags. She wants a man who will treat her right. As long as you two aren't remarried, I, Felix Fong, will always have a chance. He clutched his aching chest and fled.